Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today, guys, here we are to continue our 3-game match reviews for the 2023 AFL season. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the first 3 games of round 11. Those games are Sydney vs Carlton, St Kilda vs Hawthorn, and Melbourne vs Fremantle. So on the Friday night, it was a big battle at the SCG between Sydney and Carlton. The winner desperately needed a win after both these sides have been in some poor form over the past few weeks. And it's probably season over for the loser of the game, which is Carlton. Sydney 11-11-77, Carlton 6-15-51. Sydney win by 26. Carlton yet again lose another game off the back of inaccuracy because 6-15, especially when you're only scoring 6 goals for the game, that's not going to do it. And in the end, the Swans, apart from the first quarter, after that were quite convincing, and there were multiple errors, mistakes made in this game, fumbles, missed kicks, missed handballs, missed shots on goal as well, as both sides had their fair share of missing shots. But in the first quarter, it was the Swans that started off shaky. The Blues started off quite well. They kicked 2 goals in a row. Before then, the Swans kicked 3 goals in a row. Before the Blues kicked the last goal of the term. The second quarter, it's 2-1. So a low-scoring second term, but a term that Sydney try and build out a little bit of a lead. But they're only up by 6 at half-time. In the third quarter, Carlton come back. They kick a couple of goals in a row, but yeah, they bring it right back to where it's pretty much even at one stage. But then the Swans kick the goal at the end of the quarter to again take them out to a little bit of a lead. And then the last quarter, they kick the only 3 goals of the quarter to run away winners. And the Blues are still in this game, but yeah, in the end, couldn't take their chances. And I mean, 6-15 just really won't do the job. Lloyd 123 fantasy. Nick Blakey, who took him on a couple of times, he went for some daring runs up the middle a couple of times, not just once, a couple of times, 2 or 3 times he went up the middle and took a couple of bounces. He's got some great speed and something which we don't see enough from Nick Blakey. 114 fantasy for him, 112 for Walsh, 110 for Kerner, 108 for Doherty, 106 for Hayward, 105 for Warner, 102 for McInerney, 101 for Golden. Goals behind, 2 goals for Warner, Wicks, McInerney, McLean, who looks really good. McLean's athleticism is grabbing his marks, no matter whether it's in the forward line or somewhere else on the ground. His marking, he looked great on the night. 2 goals as well for Motlop, Carlton's only multiple goal scorer. 1 goal, 3 for Kerner, who missed some chances. A goal for Golden, Papley, Hayward, Cottrell, De Koning, and Walsh, and then 0-3 for Mackay as well. So, he didn't have a big night. And speaking of not big nights, Franklin didn't have a big one either, but his side still went to victory. 35 disposals for Lloyd, 31 for Walsh, 29 for Warner, 26 for Blakey. Marks, 12 for Blakey, 11 for Kerner, 10 for Wiedering, who was quite big, was Jacob Wiedering. He was doing well with the intercepts. Tackles, let's go to that. 12 for Rowbottom, 10 for Heaney, 7 for Trevor Doherty. Hit out, 33 for Pitnet, 25 for Hickey, 7 for McAndrew, who got subbed out, 5 for De Koning. Team stats now where, believe it or not, it was the Blues, 52-59 inside, 50s the Blues won that area of the game. And then centre clearance is 13-7. It was an area where Sydney haven't been firing in the past few weeks, especially last week versus North. They weren't great in there, but this week, big response, 13-7. Their midfield was off and rolling, and then 18-30 stoppage clearances though in favour of Carlton. Carlton won contested possessions by just 1. Marks, Carlton also won 11-11 marks inside 50, so that was locked. Sydney did lead for most of this game, and in the end definitely did deserve a win. But yeah, this was a really interesting game before because it was 2 strugglers that desperately needed to win, and yeah, Sydney come out big winners in the end in a crucial game in prime time. Now to the first game today, St Kilda vs Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda 12-6-78, defeated by Hawthorn 12-16-88. Hawthorn won by 10, and look, this was a really exciting battle in the end after you feel like the Saints have it and the Hawks just launched another surprise. This is 2 wins on the trot for them now, and their season might not be a waste after all. They might be able to definitely snare a couple of good wins later on in the year. We know they've got North Melbourne still to come, which could be a decent game. And there's definitely a couple of other games in there which they could potentially get the edge and win as well. But they win by 10 after St Kilda. Good defensive side. Just got exposed because 12-16 to 12-6. That's 18 shots to, I believe, 28, I think. Yeah, 28 to 18. So plus 10 shots there in favour of the Hawks. But we'll run you through the timeline. So it was the Saints that started off pretty well, kicked 3 goals in a row after the Hawks got off to the early jump skip. And then the Hawks do own most of the second quarter. It's 2-2, but they do kick a lot of behinds and miss some really gettable opportunities. And then that's in the third quarter where, personally, the Saints almost win the game off the back of that third quarter. They kick 7-3 and build out on their lead to be up by about 14 points at three-quarter time. You can see they're 7-14 for the Hawks at three-quarter time. Then it's only 1 goal for the Saints, and the Hawks come marching home in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the game. And they're 5 of the term as well. And luckily enough, they didn't miss their chances in that last goal. They kicked 5 goals, 2 in that term, which was definitely their most accurate term of the game. Player stats now. 165 for Sicily, who had massive numbers over the park. He was monstrous, and that is why they won. James Sicily is so important. 126 for Moore as well, who's quite important as well. 114 for Crouch, 101 for Day, 100 for Newcomb, 98 for Nash, 97 for Impey, who had big moments. 4 goals for King, probably the reason why St Kilda stayed in this game. He was really good early. I think he kicked like 2 or 3 of their first 3 or 4 or something like that. He was insane early. I think he kicked their first 3 of 3 or something like that. Lewis was big as well, 3 goals. Same for Bruce, 2 goals for Butler, and then 1 goal, 3 for Moore, who was still quite lively with 31 disposals, 9 marks, 2 tackles. Kazitsky bobbed up late. Impey was also pretty important with his goal and 26. Disposals go to disposals now. It's 43 for Sicily, who had a massive day as well. Had 16 marks, laid 1 tackle, 31 disposals for Moore and Newcomb, 30 for Day, 27 for Nash. It's not a bad midfield, and they've got like a good young core coming up here to the Hawks. 16 marks, Sicily by far the most of anyone on the ground. 9 for Moore, 8 for Wood, tackles, 9 for Steele, 6 for Sinclair, hit-outs, 29 for Reeves, 17 for Marshall, 13 for Meek, 1 for Camentini. Team stats now, where it was Hawthorn that went inside 50 more times than St Kilda. St Kilda 43 inside 50s, Hawthorn 58, and Hawthorn had way more of the footy, including way more handballs as well, and they were keen to take some risks late in the game as well. When they needed to take those risks, they were keen to take them, and that's how you win games. Centre clearance, they did get beaten in that area today, 12-8, but their midfield is still looking pretty good, and they won stoppage clearances 21-23. They had more contested possessions by +13, way more uncontested footy as well. They took more marks inside 50, 10-8, which the Saints don't normally allow, 9-15 contested marks as well. 53-40 tackles in favour of the Saints, 3-16 bounces. I mean, you can just see there that's taking the game on. That's looking to take the game on there from the Hawks. And yeah, this was a really big upset, a big win for the Hawks. They win it by 10. Alright, and now to the second Saturday afternoon game, Melbourne versus Fremantle at the MCG. Melbourne, well, it was actually Nam versus Wally Allap, and Melbourne 10-12-72, defeated by Fremantle 12-7-79, so 10-12 to 12-7, and it is the Dockers that win by 7. We know they replicated this last year, I believe in round 10, the MCG, they beat the Demons in a big come-from-behind win, and this is another pretty big win for their season, not necessarily come from behind, but now they sit inside the top 8, and definitely putting some pressure on Geelong and Adelaide to try and perform, to try and keep their spots inside the top 8 as well. But you could see there that very interesting game. Fremantle probably did own that first quarter. They led for more of it, but Melbourne kicked 2 goals late in the first term to probably win the quarter. And then the second quarter, 1-2. So, yeah, pretty interesting quarter there. And Melbourne's goal came late in the term. They needed it most. In the third quarter, that's where Fremantle start to take this game away. The first half of the third quarter is quite close. And a little bit goal for goal-ish, I guess. But then it's 3 Fremantle goals in a row. And it's only 2 goals the D's scored, 5 in that term. That's where the Dockers get away and get out to a decent lead, 15 points. And then in the last quarter, the Demons still know they can come back, and they really do try, and they kick a couple of goals later to try and send a bit of warning there to the Dockers. But in the end, they just respond with those goals, and every time the Demons got one, they just responded with one of their own to win. 123 fantasy there for Petrarca, 109 for Jackson against his former side. He kicked a goal, had 19 disposals, 4 marks, 6 tackles, 16 hit-outs, 107 fantasy for Brayshaw, 104 for Sarong, 102 for Ryan, goals behind, 3 goals for Amos, 2 for Fritz and Pickett, as well as Tracy and Banfield. Disposals, 31 for Petrarca, 29 for Brayshaw, 27 for the other Brayshaw, which is Angus Brayshaw, 29 for Andrew Brayshaw, 27 for Young, 26 for Sarong, 24 for O'Meara. Marks now 12 for Cox, 11 for Ryan, 8 for Hughes. Tackles, 9 for New Bullen, 7 for Salem Harms, May, Schultz, O'Meara and Andrew Brayshaw. Hit-outs, 34 for Gawn, 20 for Grundy, 16 for Jackson, 10 for Darcy, 3 for Tracy, 1 for Van Ruin. Team stats though, 57-52 inside 50s in favour of the Demons. However, Dockers won disposals. Clearances 36-40 in favour of the Dockers. 12-11 centre clearances. 24-29 stoppage clearances. Melbourne won contested possessions by +15. Fremantle smashed them in uncontested possessions. We'll go to marks now, 63-92 in favour of the Dockers, 11-10 marks inside 50, 15-14 contested marks. The Dockers did lead for a little over half the game, and this was a very interesting contest, I must say, and scrappy as well. Not much else looking interesting, but what a big win it is for Fremantle. It is definitely season-saving for them, and it's a big upset. They win by 7 and beat the Demons, who were without Clayton Oliver, but big win because the Dockers lost Sean Darcy, so it's a big win for them. And now to the game which is currently going on at GMHBA Stadium. It is Geelong 16, the Giants 21. So the Giants currently up by 5 after they actually played quite a good first quarter, and they might take this up to the injury-ravaged Cats at the moment. Saturday night footy, 2 big games, Gold Coast and the Western Bulldogs at TIO Stadium as part of a 2-week stint in Darwin for the Gold Coast Suns, and their West Coast versus Essendon over in Perth. Sunday's footy action, Richmond versus Port Adelaide, the MCG, Collingwood versus North at Marvel, and then a big one to finish off the round, Crows versus the Lions at the Adelaide Oval. We'll go to the ladder now. What does this mean? So this is the current ladder. Fremantle have jumped up in the top 8. Melbourne only just sitting inside the top 4. They'll definitely be waiting on the Western Bulldogs results, which will be happening tonight. And then, Essendon, Adelaide and Geelong still to play as those teams that are just around the top 8, and then there's the rest of the ladder. We'll put the live ladder on now. Should the Cats lose, they'll still sit in 8th, but will lose some percentage, and then the Giants could jump up, I believe, into 14th. Let's see. No, yeah, they could jump up into 14th should they win. And the Hawks have also joined on the 12-point club. That's going to wrap up today's 3-game match reviews, though. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. Bye everyone. Flame Footy out.